Hello everybody, today we're looking at 6.10 correlation coefficient. This is basically a continuation from the last part of the last video in 6.9. Talked a little bit about correlation coefficient and how you found it. So we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing we did in the previous lesson, but we're going to have an example this time and talk about correlation coefficient. So correlation is positive when the values increase, and correlation is negative when one value decreases and the other increases. Like we saw in the last one, we had a negative coefficient. So this is one, because you can see that this would be perfectly positive correlation, high positive correlation, a low correlation, no correlation at all. Data is just scattered everywhere. Low negative, you can see that it's decreasing. High negative correlation. This is what we found in the last example when we did 6.9. We got it back to be around negative 0.912. So it would have been somewhere between. We would consider that high negative correlation. And then a perfect correlation is -1. That'd be if your data literally falls directly in that linear line. So the correlation values could have 1, 0, or -1. It's in that range. It can't be outside that. It's not higher than 1. It's not less than -1. So the value shows how good the correlation is. Not how steep the line is, and if it is positive or negative. So it has nothing to do with slope, okay? But it just tells you how good the correlation is of the data, okay? Let's look at this example here. We have ice cream sales versus temperature. So we have temperature on the x-axis and sales on the y-axis. So I'm going to graph this data with you on the graphing calculator like we did, all right? And then we're going to talk about what is the correlation of the following data, and we're going to calculate the correlation. So those will kind of go hand in hand. So let's go back to our graphing calculator again. So we have that example we did in 6.9. So we're going to clear that. So second function plus 7 reset, 1 all RAM, 2 reset, and it clears everything. So it brings us back. That's the easiest way to do that. So then we're going to go to our sheet and we're going to enter that data again. So if you do recall, to enter that data, we go in stat, we hit 1 edit, and we put the data in. So we got 14.2, 16.4, 11.9, 15.2, 18.5, 22.1, 19.4, 25.1, 23.4, 18.1, 22.6, and 17.2. Okay? Then we arrow to the right, cursor to the right, and that gives us a rest too. So we put the corresponding sales, ice cream sales, and we got 215, we got 325, 185, 332, 406, 522, 412, 614, 544, 421, 445, and 408. All right, and 12 pieces of data for each. And once we have the data in, if you do recall, then we're going to put that as a scatter plot. So we go second function y equals, and we hit 1, which is enter. We turn to on, and everything else is okay. So the type is scatter plot, and this one is 2, blue. All right, and then we hit graph. Oh, sorry, I keep hitting graph. I did that in the last video. So we go back to that data. All right, and it's on. And then we're going to hit zoom and zoom stat. So 9, go down to 9, just press 9, and there's your data. Okay? A lot of you probably say, looking at this data, the answer A now, that it would be considered high positive correlation. It's not perfect, so I wouldn't say perfect positive, but it's definitely high correlation, and it's positive because it's increasing from left to right. Okay? So now, if you remember, we're going to get the line of best fit. We're going to get that R value. All right. So first thing we'll do is put the line of best fit through. So to determine that, we hit stat, right over to calc, down to 4, which is linear regression. List 1, list 2, and then hit calculate. We enter. There's our equation. All right. And to get that equation into our graph to show our diagram, what we hit is vars, V-A-R-S. We hit 5 for stats. We go over to equation, and we can do the regression equation. We hit enter. All right, and that gives us the regression equation. But what I forgot to do is hit y equals. I do apologize. So we hit y equals there, and then we do that. So you have to hit the y equals first to put it in the right spot. My apologies. Stats 5 equations 2 over, and then a regression equation, and it puts it in there for you. The regression equation that we found. And then once you hit graph, then it puts it through there. So that's what's considered the line of best fit. Okay? Now to get the diagnostic on, because I did reset it, I'm going to have to do that again. So I'll hit clear here, brings us back to the page. Alright? So we won't put that diagnostic on again. So we'll go second function catalog, down to diagnostic on. So we enter for again, it's done, so that's on. So that's going to give us that R value. So we'll go in, we'll get that equation again, and this time it'll give us the R value. So we hit stat calc 4 for linear regression. Put in calc again, and enter, and you'll see the regression there. It's 95, decimal 95. So it's like basically 96%, right? 95.7%. Okay. So we were right to say that it is considered a high positive correlation to answer the question. Okay. So I'm going to clip this data, put it in our notes. So that's the correlation coefficient using the graphic calculator, make it a little smaller. All right. So we'll answer the questions for A and B. So A, so what is the correlation following the data? You can see here from above, right, we would have the high positive correlation. So what is the correlation of the following data? The correlation of the following data is high positive correlation. And the B part, make that all red. And the B part calculates the correlation coefficient, the R value using the graphic calculator. So the correlation coefficient is R equal to 0.9575. So 0.9575. Oh, and so on, right? Okay. And that's it. And that's it for the lesson. There's some practice questions you can do. I put them 6, 9, 6, 10 because they kind of go hand in hand. So there's some data. You can enter those in your list, X and Y. And then there are the answers there for you. All right. And that's it for chapter 6. So I hope you're enjoying the videos. After this, we're going to start chapter 7. And that's where we begin our next video. We'll be looking at systems of linear functions. Okay, linear equations. All right. I hope you enjoyed the videos, and we'll see everybody again soon. Thank you.